6 months.
Fashion Victims of the Year, plus Ricky Martin on ET.
The mark of El Zordo. That's what they call that near Category 5 hurricane entering the record books as it makes a hit on American islands in the Caribbean. The Egypt Air investigation focuses now on this co-pilot. We'll piece together his final words and actions, and you will hear from relatives who say, don't blame him. And you'll soon be getting a warning in your mailbox about a potential ripoff on your phone.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. This one slipped up on almost everybody. A once-in-a-century monster hurricane battered the U.S. Virgin Islands in Puerto Rico today, and the worst could be yet to come. Late, large Hurricane Lenny took a rare track from west to east on its Caribbean rampage. This hurricane is now headed for possible direct hits on St. Martin and Anguilla, with top sustained winds reaching 150 miles an hour. In gusts higher than that, the hurricane verged on maximum Category 5, that is, capable of catastrophic destruction. And it wasn't just the wind. There was almost unbelievable rain, 15 inches and more in a few hours in some places. CBS's Jim Axelrod is covering this historic hurricane on the Weather Watch.
Hurricane Lenny came knocking on the Caribbean's door today. An unwanted visitor packing 135-mile-an-hour winds here in Puerto Rico and near 150 miles an hour in the U.S. Virgin Islands. At least one person is reported dead here. 100,000 are without water, 90,000 without power. Nearly every policeman is on the job. This late-season hurricane is a powerful exclamation point to what's been a highly active Atlantic hurricane season, now 2 weeks from its official end.
I said, it's impossible. We're going to have a wet Thanksgiving. Our turkeys are going to be wet.
Here in Puerto Rico, they're calling this hurricane El Zordo, the lefty, due to its unorthodox path tracking west to east across the Caribbean. Left-hand Lenny is the kind of hurricane you may see once in a lifetime in this part of the world.
We've never had a hurricane moving from west to east at any time of the year in the Caribbean. Secondly, this storm is as strong or stronger than any hurricane ever recorded, and the records go back, 125 years or so, at any place, any time in the month of November.
Once is more than enough for people in the Caribbean tonight. Lenny may have brushed by Puerto Rico, but is crushing St. Croix with winds now approaching Category 5 levels.
We would expect certainly widespread power outages, probably the power's out over the entire island, lack of water there, and damage to anything but significant buildings.
This rarest of hurricanes is now among the fiercest and most violent.
He's basically a drunken driver, I would call him. He doesn't know what he wants to do. It's a surprise, and he was coming backwards.
Back door or front door, it doesn't seem to matter which way Lenny comes in. He's going to blow the door down, either way. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Naguabo Beach, Puerto Rico.
The National Hurricane Center confirms tonight that Lenny is the most powerful Atlantic hurricane ever to hit this late in the season. The hurricane season officially ends November 30th. There is some new information tonight about the crash of Egypt Air 990. Various individual sources tell CBS News it could now be next week before the FBI is allowed to do what it wants to do, that is, be put officially in charge of a criminal investigation focusing on the cockpit crew. Egyptian aviation experts are due to meet with U.S. officials tomorrow to review the evidence. They're reluctant to let the FBI take over. CBS's Bob Orr has the latest tonight on what that evidence is.
2.5 weeks after Egypt Air Flight 990 plunged into the Atlantic, investigators are zeroing in on a horrifying theory. The evidence so far points to a deliberate act in the cockpit, a likely suicide by one of the jet's pilots. The plane took off from New York's JFK Airport very early on Halloween. Egypt Air says veteran Captain Ahmed Al-Habashi was at the controls. Adel Anwar was his co-pilot. At some point in the short half-an-hour flight, co-pilot Anwar was apparently replaced by his relief co-pilot, Gamil Al-Batouti. The Boeing 767 was at its cruising altitude of 33,000 feet when a fatal chain of events began. Sources say one of the 4 microphones in the cockpit picked up the sounds of Captain Al-Habashi leaving the flight deck. A short time later, the flight data recorder shows someone switched off the autopilot on one of the plane's control wheels. Just after that, the cockpit tape captured a lone voice, identified as Al-Battuti's, offering a prayer, roughly translated as, "I have made my decision. I put my fate in God's hands." Immediately after that, the flight data recorder shows someone pulled back on the engine thrust levers and pushed forward on one of the control columns, pitching the plane into a sudden and steep dive. As the plane began plunging, Captain Al-Habashi made his way back to the cockpit and asked what's going on. There are strong indications Al-Habashi desperately began trying to save the airplane, pulling on his control column and urging his co-pilot to pull with me, pull with me. But the Boeing 767 continued to plummet. Then came the only mechanical clue that the two pilots may have been working against each other. The black box shows the plane's elevators moved in opposite directions, something that would happen if one pilot pushed on the column as the other pulled. Seconds later, someone cut the plane's engines, dooming the jet and all 217 people on board. While crash experts continue to study the black boxes, most of the wreckage remains in the ocean. But investigators may already know enough to solve one of the strangest and most chilling crashes of the jet age. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
Underscoring that no crime has been proven, let alone any fixing of responsibility, in Egypt, those who know the co-pilot who has come under suspicion insist that the theory just can't be true. CBS's Alan Pizzi has their stories from Cairo.
Home video of Egypt Air co-pilot Gamil Al-Battuti in happier times. Watching the tape today, his family refused to come to terms with what happened and what is being said about him. His nephew called a friend when he heard the accusations of suicide.
I said, "Do you believe Gamil would do this?" No. No way.
What they find most incredible are claims that a man from a large, well-to-do family might have committed suicide either because he was depressed or to claim on insurance money. The only thing more important to Al-Battuti than flying, friends and relatives say, was his wife and 5 children. He was deeply concerned about his youngest daughter, Aya, who was being treated for lupus. Al-Battuti asked his sons to meet Flight 990 in Cairo because he was bringing back new tires for their car.
He's a great person. He's a funny person. He's a friend to his children. He's very well off, inherited so much land, so much money.
In a 35-year career in the Egyptian Air Force and with Egypt Air, Al-Battuti trained scores of pilots. A senior training with Al-Battuti for 25 years maintains that Egypt Air training is second to none.
Like I told you, this is very sophisticated medical test here in Egypt. Very. And the training, per 6 months, the simulators for the captains, for the co-pilot, they do this very well.
There is already growing distrust here that the pilots will get a fair deal in any report on the crash. What we're hearing so far, one family member said, is good for a movie, but not for us. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Cairo.
President Clinton plans to challenge Boris Yeltsin tomorrow on Russia's war in Chechnya. So today, Yeltsin took the offensive as he arrived in the European summit that's being held in Turkey. Yeltsin announced he has approved the global nuclear test ban treaty rejected last month by the Republican-led U.S. Senate. And he said refugees from the Chechen war will soon be back in their homes. From Moscow tonight, CBS's David Hawkins has more on Russia's campaign to crush the Chechen rebels.
Russia will continue to press its war in Chechnya, no matter what the West says. In the face of increasing criticism from Western nations, President Boris Yeltsin wants to personally defend Russia's actions in Chechnya. Yeltsin said the military campaign will not stop as long as there is one terrorist base left in the breakaway republic. Yeltsin's foreign minister and several top generals have also accused Western critics of meddling in Russia's internal affairs. For nearly 2 months, Russian forces have kept up an unrelenting air war and massive artillery strikes against Chechen villages. And they've taken control of Chechnya's second-largest city, Gudermez. But Russia's indiscriminate tactics have caused a great number of civilian deaths, and about 200,000 refugees have fled the fighting. And for all that, Russian forces have yet to take Chechnya's capital, Grozny. And to keep their casualties low, they haven't taken on Chechen fighters in direct combat. Moreover, despite Moscow's claim that the point of the war is to wipe out so-called Chechen terrorists, Russian forces are letting Chechen rebels escape rather than engaging them in battle. The success in Chechnya so far has boosted the Kremlin's favorite candidate to replace President Yeltsin in next summer's elections. Prime Minister Vladimir Putin has led the charge in Chechnya and has seen his poll numbers shoot up from the low single digits to above 30%.
As long as the war continues to get cheers at home, there's no reason for the Kremlin to listen to complaints from abroad. David Hawkins, CBS News, Moscow.
In Turkey's earthquake disaster zone, an amazing rescue today. 5 days after the quake destroyed her apartment building, a 42-year-old woman was pulled from the rubble alive. Doctors say her condition is critical, and they will probably have to amputate her right arm, which was crushed under tons of debris. The death toll from this latest quake now stands at 550. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the government is sending you a personal warning about con artists who may be out to get you. And the government wants the food industry to warn you about phantom fat in their products. Plus, the story of a man getting a second chance at the American dream.
Enterprise? You rented our car from Enterprise?
Yeah.
Why Enterprise?
Because they pick us up. Free.
A free pickup? Wow. They ought to be number one.
They are number one.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Winter air makes it worse. So can blow drying. That's scalp stress itch. And Scalpicin stops it. Clean, unscented, medicated to stop scalp stress itch.
Every time.
Scalpicin stops scalp stress itch.
Here's your regular internet homepage, and here's i1.com. It's free. You use it like Yahoo, Excite, or other search engines. Only i1.com gives away $10,000 every day, $1 million a month, and $10 million on tax day. Which one would you choose?
If my friend used this at work secretly and she won, would her boss get the money?
No, your friend would get the money.
It's good to know.
Introducing i1.com. Why wouldn't you?
The old neighborhood. And Vinny's? Shh, they're coming. I made your old favorite pepperoni.
Oh.
Can't eat that now.
This can't be Charlie.
I didn't take my Pepsi. I gotta wait.
Then we all wait.
Oh.
Take my Tagamet. You could eat now.
When it's too late for Pepsid, it's not too late for Tagamet. You can take Tagamet right when you're going to eat and still prevent heartburn. With Tagamet, you can eat like a kid again.
The federal budget is now almost 7 weeks overdue. President Clinton and Republicans in Congress still do not have a done deal, and a new snag that developed today could delay still further any final agreement. Republicans added a last-minute measure on dairy pricing that would increase the price of milk, and that could be a budget deal wrecker. It came after the president accepted a small across-the-board cut in the federal budget demanded by Republicans. Every household in America will soon be getting a warning in the mail about crooks who call on the phone. These people have friendly voices and exciting news to tell. For example, that you could win a lot of money. CBS's Eric Ingberg exposes what happens after that.
If you have a chance, can you give me a call?
To Abe Vandenbroek, the voice on the phone was convincing, offering a chance to earn big profits on a real estate deal.
They are very smart. And, you know, they have ways, they have techniques, whatever it is, to make you continue to talk.
Vandenbroek was one of 200 victims of swindler Stephen Murphy, who had written several get-rich-quick books. By the time authorities caught up with him, Vandenbroek was out $140,000 and almost lost his home.
I really had anxiety attacks. I was put on tranquilizers.
In launching a major counterattack on crooked telemarketers today, federal authorities stressed how big and vicious a business it's become. $40 billion a year, many of the victims elderly.
It is well known that con artists involved in mail and telemarketing fraud will swindle any and all consumers out of everything they own.
This week, the government will send a card to every home in the country offering advice on how not to be a sucker. It warns, beware if the caller says you've won something but must first send money. And don't give out credit card or Social Security information over the phone.
If someone calls you offering an investment, loan, or credit opportunity, take the time to do some research before you commit your hard-earned funds.
The card also carries a toll-free number to report suspicious calls. And the government has prepared an instructional tape employing the services of John T., a repentant swindler who tells how to defend against people like him.
You cannot win a battle of wits with a telephone con artist. They have more ammunition than a dozen psychologists and psychiatrists put together.
So the advice officials give to anyone who gets a suspicious-sounding telephone offer is hang up. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
On the market watch, the government says consumer prices rose just 0.2% last month. So far this year, inflation is running 2.8% up from 1.6% last year, but still very low. Profit taking today on Wall Street, the Dow and the NASDAQ both closed down. Next on CBS, the Health Watch and the hidden fat danger in some of your favorite foods.
It's time for your heartburn to kick in because your heartburn relief gave out. It happens 2 or more days a week, even though you've treated it and changed your diet. That frequent, persistent heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease, potentially serious.
It's Prilosec time. Time to see your doctor about prescription Prilosec. Your results may vary, but for many people, Prilosec provides 24 hours of complete heartburn relief with 1 daily dose. Ask your doctor for more information about Prilosec and if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. 24 hours of complete heartburn relief is possible. It's Prilosec time.
The hot flashes got pretty bad. Night sweats were ruining my sleep. Vaginal dryness made intimacy uncomfortable. And I was worried that estrogen loss at menopause could lead to osteoporosis, a long-term health problem. Menopause is complicated. Talking to my doctor helped. For me, she prescribed Prempro. It's relieving my uncomfortable symptoms, and along with calcium and exercise, helping prevent osteoporosis.
Prempro is only for women who have not had a hysterectomy. Prempro is not for every woman. You should not take Prempro if you've had any breast or uterine cancer, abnormal vaginal bleeding, abnormal blood clotting, liver or heart disease, stroke, or if you think or know you are pregnant. Tell your doctor about your personal and family medical history. Side effects include blood clots, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, breast tenderness, irregular bleeding, and headache. For more information, talk to your doctor about Prempro or call.
I'm glad my doctor prescribed Prempro. Now I'm feeling great. For me, it's Prempro.
Wind tunnel by Hoover picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright. And you can get one that's self-propelled.
On CBS's Health Watch, tomorrow's New England Journal of Medicine reports the findings of the largest, most detailed study yet on the potential health benefits of light to moderate consumption of alcohol. The upshot, as little as a single drink per week, they say, can reduce the risk of stroke 20 to 25%. Also on the Health Watch, the first of 2 reports about what's in the food you eat but isn't on the label, and how what you don't know could hurt you. Take the case of trans fatty acids, hidden fats in food that could be a heart attack waiting to happen. Now the government thinks you have a right to be told right on the label. CBS's Elizabeth Caledon has more about what you need to know about trans fats right now.
For Jean Walsh, reading labels is a matter of life and death. Heart disease and quintuple bypass surgery mean avoiding fat is crucial.
The only way you can really find out is to read the box.
Or is it? Current labels don't say anything about something called trans fat, which doctors say is deadly. Consumer advocates call it the phantom fat and say most people have never even heard of it.
Right now, food labels only show one kind of artery clogging fat, saturated fat, but they don't give consumers any information about the other type of heart damaging fat, trans fat.
Trans fat is created when vegetable oil is solidified to make certain foods. Doctors say it has a similar effect in the arteries, clogging them up and raising cholesterol.
We estimate that more than 30,000 deaths from heart disease could be avoided each year if trans fats were eliminated.
But eliminating trans fats would be a challenge since you can find them in almost any processed food at the grocery store. Everything from low cholesterol margarines and whole grain crackers you thought were good for your heart to cookies, cakes, and frozen French fries.
I think that's horrendous, horrendous, especially if it's worse than saturated fat.
After a 6-year struggle with consumer advocates, the FDA is considering mandating a change to existing nutrition labels sometime next year, adding the grams of trans fat per serving at the bottom. Food manufacturers are concerned the change offers up a recipe for confusion. But for Jean Walsh,
it will give me a sporting chance.
Clearing things up, making healthy choices a little easier. Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
The American Dream is next on the CBS Evening News, the story of a man whose dream was destroyed and how he's winning it back.
Ooh, you better cover up.
No, I got my... Want to color your gray beard or mustache and look natural? Get Just for Men Gel.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
Brush in and in 5 minutes, gray is gone.
No one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
Great meal.
Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, want to go for ice cream?
Gas X, the power to fight gas fast.
Also try genuine Bear Gel Caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. Bear Gel Caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
I like my little pooch. My shape. Because I think I have a cool shape. My legs are sexy.
What do I like about my body?
Ooh, my hands. Yeah!
Jergens, we love every inch of you. So our skin smoothing lotion has alpha and beta hydroxy to polish and shine you. And our original cherry almond lotion soothes your soul. I love my skin. Jergens, we love your body.
Ooh, Floor Shine leather wingtips. Available online in 299 retail locations. Ooh, candies. Oh, classic Doc Martens. Full grain leather, lug soles. Available online in 234 retail locations. Ooh, hey, Steve Madden. Wait, Kenneth Cole. No, wait, Via Spiga? This never happened.
StoreRunner.com has shopping experts in every conceivable field, like Dave Pearson's shoes.
Kenneth Cole. Definitely Kenneth Cole.
StoreRunner.com. Log on. Let's shop.
Tonight's edition of The American Dream is about a life that was nearly destroyed and a man who had what it takes to overcome adversity and start on the long, tortuous road back. He's a New Yorker who had a good job and a thriving, happy family until last year.
Be careful. Don't spill, right?
At age 37, Edgar Rivera was living the life he always dreamed of.
As we all do, bring up our children in the best environment possible and, you know, to nurture and feed them and just be a good provider.
But it all came crashing down one tragic day last April.
I was waiting for a train to come up and I was pushed off the platform.
Edgar plummeted to the tracks below.
I have no recollection at all about that day.
As soon as I seen the train coming at him, I just turned away.
What I do know is what I've read or people whom happened to be on the platform.
I mean, you heard the train hit him.
Julio Perez, a homeless man with a history of mental illness, gave no motive for pushing Edgar.
I was the victim of a random act of violence. Somehow, some way I survived this ordeal. I thank God for that.
But his legs were severed by the train.
There are two ways to deal with this. You can be positive about it or negatively. And one will lift me, one will drag me under. I chose to be lifted. Daddy! I still have life. I still have a family. I'm still a father. I'm still a husband. I've got to go forward.
How are you guys doing?
That attitude has the entire city of New York rallied around him.
I think that they recognize that this could happen to anyone. And that's the kind of triggering point. That's what
makes people respond.
Stay strong. Absolutely. Just last week, Pedro Espada, a man Edgar hardly knew, ran the New York City Marathon to raise money for a handicap-accessible home for Edgar and his family.
This kindness, this benevolence, this sort of humanitarian effort put forth by the community, and it's been a source of inspiration for me.
Here is the area that we need to relieve.
But it's one company in Brooklyn, Aramed, that is giving Edgar back what he lost.
That's my independence. I need that to exist. I'm determined to get that.
1, 2, 3.
It's about actually reality for me. I'm walking. Yeah.
Doing excellent.
And you've got to walk before you run, but I'm already thinking about running.
Edgar Rivera says someday he wants to run the marathon himself. In fact, he already is.
The American Dream, brought to you by Fidelity Investments. We help you invest responsibly.
I grew up in Manila. It was a difficult life. My parents were poor. Some days we didn't have enough food. I went to bed hungry. When I was in high school, I made a decision that I would work for a better life than that. I saw that education was the key to get out of my poverty. After school, I put all of my worldly belongings in 2 suitcases and moved away. I earned 5 teaching credentials and a master's degree. I started learning about investing by reading. I'm very comfortable making my own investment decisions. You have to tell yourself that you can do it, and you will. In time, I have seen those stocks and mutual funds grow. I still live frugally, although I don't have to. I still ask questions. Learning is a lifelong process.
Judy Ko is one of the extraordinary people who invests responsibly with Fidelity. We can help you do the same. For your guide, visit fidelity.com.
$69.90.
What are you looking at, cable? Shh, it's just getting good.
3 minutes a week.
Ah, DirecTV. Hi, everybody. This is Jim. Look, DirecTV's got all your favorite cable channels. Plus, now you get 2 free months of 32 premium movie channels, including 7 HBO, 4 Stars, and 5 Showtime channels with no long-term commitment. DirecTV. What are you looking at?
About free computers, but we haven't actually seen one. Not one with a monitor, 24-hour tech support, and a year of AOL included, like a Gateway PC with an Intel Celeron processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY. For $28 a month, it's a PC you can believe in.
We end tonight with the twin spectacle of fire in the heavens and on Earth. Looking to the sky, astronomers say tonight will be the peak of the annual Leonid meteor shower, with as many as 20,000 meteors streaking through the atmosphere each hour. On Earth, a new river of molten lava is flowing down Mount Kilauea in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. The blazing tide now runs from the mountaintop almost to the shores of the Pacific Ocean. And that's part of our world tonight. We'll be broadcasting tomorrow from Philadelphia. For tonight's CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting from New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
The #1 newscast at 6 o'clock for the people of Portland, Vancouver, and the Pacific Northwest.